Welcome to this edition of Platform. My name is Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. The role of the legislature varies. It is defined or limited only with respect to a country or jurisdiction. But experts say the legislature performs a complex set of functions. Principal among them include representation, legislation, scrutiny, and oversight. It also includes political recruitment and leadership development. Other scholars also include conflict resolution and quasi-judicial and administrative functions. As a sovereign organ of state power, legislative power is explained as the legislative authority to make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of the country. With a 4-year tenure of June 2015 to June 2019, Nigeria's National Assembly appears to be on its last lap of making laws for the peace, order, and good government of Nigeria. To what extent has the National Assembly fulfilled this mandate? What nature of laws or bills were passed, and what are the matters arising? This is especially as the National Assembly is scheduled to reconvene from recess on Tuesday, the 9th of October, 2018. This edition of Platform examines the National Assembly and its inherent powers with the Executive Director of Civil Society Group that oversees the Nigerian Legislature, the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, Auwal Ibrahim Musa, popularly known as Rafsajani. Welcome to Platform.
Thank you, and good afternoon.
With me on Platform is Umar Isa Bununu, NTA Deputy Director News and Head of Political Desk. Welcome back to Abuja.
Thank you very much.
The next panelist doesn't need much introduction, but Cosmos Ekwunobi is our regular panelist on Platform. He is editor with Authority newspaper.
Thank you very much.
Ohamadike One. As usual, the focus again is National Assembly and its inherent powers. Auwal Musa Rafsajani. Let us begin. How did this name come about? Rafsajani is a name associated with an Iranian president.
Well, thank you, Kudu, and good afternoon, viewers. This name has been with me since when I was in year 1 in secondary school. And basically what happened was, at that time, the former late Iranian, Speaker of the Parliament and subsequently, the President of Iran, I used to see his poster and many of his speeches, talking about how the West, particularly respect of the crisis that they were having with Iraq, were actually polling and causing more trouble for them. So some way, somehow, his poster was very colorful. So I just took this poster, I put it in my living room. So some of my friends, when they come, instead of calling me to say they want to come to our room, they will say, let them, they want to come to Rafsajani house. That's how it began. So I then admire the man because he's very, very good articulator. And the issues he was talking about, Kano, if you grow up in Kano, if you are from Kano, you want to hear some progressive scene. And most of his speeches, were very, very progressive issues, So I become personally also in love with, his, attitude. And moreover, he was very, very liberal. He was not one of those people that were considered as fanatics, if you like, So that was how, when I went to the school, also Rimpa College in Kano, people were now students were calling me Rafsajani.
When you say school, did you mean the university?
No. Secondary school. I'm talking about secondary school in Rimpa College, Kano. And then by the time I came to university, the name was one in town. So everybody, was calling the name, and because I was involved in the student movement, so I was very popular because I was a student, union leader. And then when I came to the national level, National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, going to various campuses, they always also called that name Rafsajani. By the time I left university, I found myself in the human rights community. that name also continued to bear with me. Now it has become part and parcel of me, even though it's an unofficial name. It's not part of my official names, but even me, if you don't call me Rafsajani, I wouldn't know that you are referring to Auwal. So Rafsajani has become completely part and parcel of me, and that's why in most of my things, you know, you will see in bracket Rafsajani. It's not an official name, but I have, you know, unfortunately, I've never been option to see him before he died. But I met with one of his special assistant. I went to Iran for a different thing. By the time I went, he had already gone. So I didn't have opportunities to see him when he was alive. But I met with, you know, his assistant, and they were so excited. Even here in the embassy here, in the Iranian embassy, they always like to, you know, talk with me because they felt that, oh, I like one of their, you know, former president.
Now let's talk about CISLAC, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center. In the introduction, I talked about the fact that this CISLAC oversights the legislature in Nigeria. How did it come about, and what are its mandates? How does the oversight function really, if you like, how do you operate it?
Okay, CISLAC came, you know, as a result of total disconnect between the civil society organizations, you know, that are doing very good work when we returned to democracy in 1999, and subsequently, you know, in 2015, we noted so much disconnect between all the good work that civil society groups were doing, advocating for all this good legislation and supporting the efforts of government, you know, either through constitutional reform or through electoral reform or through various human rights issues, you know. There was a disconnect. There was no effort, you know, or rather, there was no opportunity for civil society to actually mainstream their issues, to be heard properly, to be communicated to the legislators, and to even have opportunity to provide support to the National Assembly, because at that time we are still facing this issue of antagonism between civil society and government generally. So there was suspicion from the government, including the legislature, and the civil society, because civil society were desperate to see that things are done correctly since we are now under democracy. And on the other side, you have, you know, people in government, including the legislature, that some of them, they were very skeptical about civil society. But over the years, as a result of the emergence of CISLAC, the National Assembly and State House of Assembly, they found out that it is, you know, really a good opportunity for them to access the capacity and the support that civil society actually has, because they have tremendous thing to offer to improve the work of the National Assembly and the State House of Assembly. And they have seen it from different perspectives, through bill analysis, through budget, you know, work, through different kind of legislative intervention. So that's how we were able to change that narrative of being seen civil society as antagonistic to a kind of a partner in progress. And we have worked with various, you know, state assembly and of course National Assembly, contributing to the legislative, you know, reforms and the agenda. Now CISLAC, beyond providing this technical support to the National Assembly to do their work, we also, you know, monitor development in the National Assembly in terms of bill progression, in terms of also other legislative, you know, responsibility like oversight. We participate in the public hearing. We do also provide capacity building for legislators to be able to do their work, including the support staff of the National Assembly, because legislative work is such that, you know, you require to update your knowledge and their capacity. Some of the legislators, especially a new one that will come, they may not have been, you know, privileged to know any legislative work. They were elected, so therefore they need to understand the function and their role as legislators. So we provide those kind of training, induction, and it's continuous thing.
Before we go to how you provide the training, the question was, how do you conduct this oversight?
Yeah, we conduct this oversight, you know, along together, of course, with other civil society and media, because we alone, we cannot do it, you know. So we partner with the media, especially legislative reporters. And if I may recall, NTA Parliament is part of CISLAC partners that do work to ensure that we document and monitor the work of the National Assembly, either in terms of oversight, either in terms of the lawmaking, either in terms of even the representation, including constituency outreach that legislators are supposed to do. So we do this through the partners that we have that are also interested in legislative development and legislative support. So CISLAC and other organizations, come together to do this, and we provide this legislative oversight. And when we notice any lapses, we try to also, through responsive and amicable way, try to convey those reports and findings to legislators, and many of them, they find it very, very appreciative and supportive. So that's how we do our work. We are not just out there to abuse people. We don't do that. What we do, we provide through capacity building, through providing information, because we provide information for the legislators to do their work. And this oversight, we also, for example, in some of the states that we work, we even, get the legislators to include civil society when they are going on oversight, because if the idea is to ensure that, right thing is done, government function properly, then there's no need to ambush anybody who has something to offer. So in some states, for example, like Jigawa and Kano, the legislators, they found CISLAC very, very supportive in the work they do in terms of oversight. So we even go along together with them and help them, provide them with the necessary information and technical support to be able to do their work very well.
Before I allow my colleagues to come in, and let me very quickly ask this question. CISLAC, you say, is a non-profit organization.
Yes.
What are the sources of funding for its operations?
CISLAC is non-profit and non-religious, non-political organization. We get our support, from different, partners and donors that are interested in the issues we are working on. CISLAC has 6 thematic areas or 6, strategic objectives that work on. We work on democratic governance. We work on the area of anti-corruption. We work on the environment, including extractive, nature, and conservation. We also work on peace and security, as well as also health and social inclusion, as well as also institutionalization of the work that we also do. So we have 6 strategic objectives, and within these 6 strategic objectives, many partners that are working on those areas, when they see the work we are doing, they then decide to invite us in some instances to say, can we work together? Can we support you to do X, Y, Z? And of course, when we look at the integrity of the partner, because we don't just collect support from anybody. If you are a looter, we will not collect your money. If you are a thief, if you are a corrupt person, we have no business with you, either as an individual or as an organization. So we partner with the credible and responsible people. Also, we partner with the government agencies, because, for example, Bureau of Public Procurement, we work with them closely. NAITI, we work with them closely. Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Budget, and other relevant government agencies that falls within our strategic objective, we work with them. We work with also NEMA, we work with the internally displaced person, commission. We work with different agencies that falls within the strategic objectives that we have as an organization. Of course, EFCC, ICPC, they are our partners that we work together with, because we work with all these agencies that help to bring sanity in Nigeria.
Well, Mr. Rafsajani, the National Assembly went on recess, and very soon they will reconvene. And we all know how things were the time they went on recess. What do you foresee when they resume next week?
Well, I want to believe that if National Assembly members would put national interest above personal interest, above politicking, there are very, very urgent, important national assignments that they need to focus on. And I believe that there are quite a number of them who are actually desperate to see that they leave good legacy there. And therefore, I envisage that there would be some legislators that will want to draw the attention of the National Assembly to conclude some vital, important assignment that they are supposed to carry on before they go on recess. At the same time, there are also possibility that there might be some pocket of some of the members that might probably bring in some, issues of personal interest. So I think there will be a mixed, reaction when they resume, because not everybody, is on the same decks. But I want to believe that anybody who believe in Nigeria, who want progress of this country, will look at some of the pending important issues that need to be done and concluded before.
Give us an idea of this pending important issue.
For example, the general election 2019, budget has not concluded. The legislative processes has not been concluded. They will have to focus on that so that we can even have INEC can have the resources that they can be able to conduct election. Secondly, you also have so many pending confirmation that if they believe in governance, they will be able to focus on. For example, ICPC has no board, has no chairman. Even EFCC confirmation is still there. The AMCON confirmation is still pending. The deputy governor to the CVN is still also pending. And more importantly, there are some bills that will help to bring good governance, transparency, and accountability in this country. Like the bill on proceed of crime bill is still pending. The issues of the whistleblower, which is part of the government policy, but now we want it to be legislated as a legislation, so that nobody will now come and get it out from the policy of the government. You have all these pending bills on petroleum industry bill. As you recall, PIGB has been passed by the National Assembly, but it has been it has not been assented. And the National Assembly actually has or rather the president has not assented to quite number of bills, which the National Assembly did not also use its own legislative responsibility, because the president did not come back to say, this is the reason why I am not signing them. So in the absence of the president not explaining why he will not sign, it is assumed that because under the Constitution, the National Assembly has the power to make sure that they take another legislative action and veto the president. They have to override. They have not done that on the issue of PIGB. They have not done that on the Peace Corps bill that has been sent. There's also this compulsory treatment of victims of gunshot. That has not also been assented by the president. There's a disability bill that has also been passed, which the National Assembly wanted a commission and to mainstream disability people. That has not also been assented, and the National Assembly has not taken any action on that. So I think the National Assembly probably will have to remember that they have these legislative powers and opportunity to either renegotiate with the presidency so that the presidency can rescind the bill, and pass it, or they actually simply override it because it has overlapped the 30 days required, under the law for the president to do that. So the National Assembly hasn't yet demonstrated that, powers, and responsibility. So I believe that rather than quarreling over, unnecessary issue, both from the executive and the legislature, there are quite a number of issues that require both this collaboration of the executive and the legislature to focus on, rather than just coming to start having trouble with the National Assembly or with the executive. I believe that it is important that we give Nigerians the good governance that they deserve, that they voted, both the executive and the legislature, rather than just every day having a fight that is not really commiserable, or that is really not part of what Nigerians have voted, both the executive and the legislature. I think we should focus and stay on governance issue rather than just having unnecessary leadership problem. Nigeria did not vote both National Assembly members to just come and become principal officers. They voted them to actually do this work of making law, oversight, representation, constituency accountability. These are the core things that Nigerians have voted lawmakers. The issues of leadership in the National Assembly is just a secondary issue. So I want to appeal also to the National Assembly members to remember that they are legislators before they are principal officers. And also from the executive arm of the government, I think it is important that they deploy necessary, dialogue with the National Assembly principal officers to ensure that we did not give Nigerians bad impression that both the executive and the legislature did not mean well for Nigerians. I think there's need for both of them to sit down and dialogue. Politics is about negotiation. It's about dialogue. It's about understanding. It's about doing the right thing. I then think at this time, when we have these pending important issues that we need to do to conclude the legislative calendar, or to even conclude the executive, tenure, I don't think it is worth it to come back and start having trouble.
When you talk of dialogue, what really should happen? Who should initiate it, and how should it be initiated from the perspective of your experience?
Anyone can initiate that, but I would rather say that the executive, because the executive need the cooperation of the legislature to get these bills passed and to conclude all this legislative work. Because if they don't do that, it means that they will have frustrated the effort of the executive. So the executive should actually swallow its pride and create an enabling platform to have honest and sincere conversation, discussion on how to move forward. Let's forget about this whole fight over change of leadership in the National Assembly. Already 3 years and 2 years plus has gone. Let's allow, the National Assembly leadership to finish, the work that they are facing, so that, when the ruling party comes back, the mistake they made in the past, they would have been able to correct it in the next, period after the election. But to now say that you want to come and remove principal officers from the National Assembly, you are simply inviting more chaos, and Nigerians will not appreciate and understand what you are trying to achieve when you have allowed that to happen 3 years plus. So let's tolerate one another. And then the legislature, the people in the National Assembly should also be more responsive and responsible. There are quite a number of some of the legislators that demonstrated some kind of complementary, things and stand. Intimidation, harassment, and maybe allegedly even, extortion. Let them also realize that their work is not to come and be insulting or intimidating anybody, but to do their work according to the law of the land, according to the Constitution. The Constitution is very clear on the roles and the responsibility of the National Assembly. And if we understand that, if we appreciate that, then we know that we have actually done the right thing. Then the electorate, the voters that have voted them, both the executive and the legislature, they will know that they have not wasted their vote, and they have not wasted also public resources, because it will be painful to be paying people huge amount of salary, both in the legislature and the executive, and then they are not doing what they are supposed to do. I think it will not really be fair. We need to make sure that we create this enabling peace, with the National Assembly and the executive, so that we can conclude all this pending important legislative action that is required. Because the executive cannot take the role of the National Assembly, neither will the National Assembly take the role of the executive. So let's understand that we have function, but we can complement one another by having honest and sincere, and put national interest above personal or party interest.
I want to take you back to oversight function, which is of course another legislative instrument by the legislature to put executive to check. For some years now, under this administration, we don't have much of that. Even your organization, we don't hear much from you. What is really happening?
Okay, CISLAC cannot do the work of the National Assembly. We can always provide support, through information, through training, through technical support for the National Assembly to do their work. And this can only also come through the interest that the various committees express, from CISLAC and other civil society organizations who have the expertise to do that. So we cannot, if the National Assembly did not give priority to oversight work, CISLAC cannot, be the one to be doing that, because we don't have that constitutional or legal powers to do that. But we are ready to support any committee that wants, support from civil society organization to be able to do its work very well. And I can assure you that we are doing that. In the next couple of days, we're going to be going to Port Harcourt, Wari, Kano, Lagos, with the House Committee on Health, and other relevant, committees in the National Assembly, also through trying to make sure that the pending, work that need to be done in terms of ensuring, nutrition and health generally are actually done. So this is how we work. We cannot impose our work on the legislature.
But are you saying from what you've just said, because it is the legislature that generates activities for you in terms of this oversight, are you saying that its National Assembly is not doing much?
No, I didn't say that. Well, to be honest to you, because of all these crises, especially in the Senate, there has been, so much digression, on the work that needs to be done. And I think, that is why we need to close this chapter of complete, within the legislature and the executive, so that we can focus on the key assignment, for the National Assembly. If we continue with all this volatile, trouble, National Assembly will not be able to concentrate and do any work. And at the end of the day, it is the taxpayers' money that suffer. It is the nation, it is the voters that suffer. And it is also invariably the executive that will not be seen to be able to accomplish what they promised to do, because the enabling bills will not have been passed and it will be frustrated. Look at the PIB. I mean, we all wanted to make sure that, we reform the petroleum sector from the monumental corruption that has embedded in it. So if there's no synergy between the legislature and the executive, how will you stop the corruption in the oil and gas sector? How will you ensure that, that sector function effectively, so that even, investors can come and invest, in the area of, for example, Bureau of Public Procurement. If you do not have the cooperation of the legislature, how will you be able to even have effective oversight on how contracts are awarded? Right now, the Bureau of Public Procurement, the council has not been inaugurated. We need to make sure that responsibility is done. It has never been, but we hope that under this administration, we should be able to have that, because it's part of what we all envisage that from now on, more proper things will be done in this country. All the wrong thing that has happened in the past, would have been, this administration will have been able to address it. So there are quite a number of reasons why we think this, peace between the executive and the legislature need to happen. No one should undermine one another. No one should use all complementary language on one another. So it is important, and the electorate must, wake up to begin to demand accountability from the elected official, because that is what is called constituency accountability. Because if you are elected, you need to come and be giving feedback, and the constituent must also be contributing to legislative information that you can also go to National Assembly or a state assembly to also do. That is why it is called representation, because you are not representing yourself, you are representing the constituent, and it is only through the information you gather, credible information you gather from your constituent, from the people there, that you can come to National Assembly to say, look, on behalf of my people, on behalf of my constituency. Otherwise, you are representing yourself. So it is important that the electorate begin to also not fight, but also make sure that they demand accountability on their representative in the National Assembly or in the State House of Assembly. Otherwise, you would create a situation whereby you elected somebody and that person is not answerable to you, and he has no business with you, only that he is answering the name of his people, his constituency. It is important that Nigerians understand that their legislators, they need to support them with credible information. If there's any problem in the community, through the their legislators, they can be able to send that information to him or her, you know, and then he will now use that to even come to the National Assembly and draw the National Assembly attention that, look, in my constituency or in my state, there's this problem. And the National Assembly can take, you know, intervention on that. But if you are not providing those information and support to your member, you are only asking him or her for money to pay school fees or for money to pay money to do, you know, wedding or naming ceremony or attend burial, then you are missing the point. And we need to change this whole thing and ensure that we mainstream accountability of the legislators to the constituents. And that's the only way we can actually have a more responsive and responsible members in the state or in the National Assembly responding to the yearning and aspiration of the people, not on the individual thing. If you want to help somebody as an individual, fine, but let the, you know, constituent interest be taken more as a priority rather than you coming to be asking for those things.
3 years on, from 2015 to date, I know you were our guests when you assessed 1 year of the 8th National Assembly. Now we have almost on the last lap. What's CISLAC's assessment of the 8th National Assembly?
Well, this is, we will not be able to tell you, you know, this assessment now because the legislative calendar has not finished. So we are still gathering, you know, our information based on the legislative responsibility that, you know, National Assembly is supposed to perform in the 8th Assembly. So after the 8th National Assembly, we will come with our report to show how they perform in terms of lawmaking, how they perform in terms of, you know, effective and responsible oversight. We will show you how they perform in terms of representation. We will show you how they perform in terms of constituency accountability. So it is only when they finish, then we would now be able to tell you how we feel and how the Nigerian people feel the National Assembly had actually performed. But for now, to do that, you will be jumping the thing because they still have time. The National Assembly will wind up only in June 2019.
But the Senate President, Abubakar Bukola Saraki, was quoted in the media to have said that in comparison, the 8th Senate has passed more bills than all the other Senates combined.
It is not about passing bills. You can pass any bill, but the bill that will bring about good governance, transparency and accountability, the bill that will touch the lives of the people, the bill that will help to, you know, increase the economic potential of the country, the bill that will alleviate poverty, the bill that will ensure that there's a more openness in government. That is the kind of bill that, you know, if you pass, even if they are not as much as what you have had in the past, that will have really, you know, make more sense for Nigerians, you know. So he's a politician, of course. He will want to make sure that he blow his trumpet. But like I said, Nigerians and CISLAC and other organizations, they are documenting what they consider to be, you know, the best or the, you know, to evaluate the performance of the National Assembly, 8th National Assembly, and we would do that. We will release that report, you know, in 2019. From 2019, when the 9th Assembly comes, what CISLAC plan to be doing is to be doing a yearly evaluation of each and individual legislators, how you perform, you know, within a particular year. This would inform, you know, the decision of the electorate in the next election, you know, to decide whether you have actually come to represent yourself and use the platform of the National Assembly to empower yourself and also bring in about chaos and irrationality in that place, you know. But if you have performed credibly very well, then the electorate will be proud, and you too, you will have peace of mind that you have actually come to do service for the nation. Because one thing that people don't understand is that coming to National Assembly or coming to any elective position is supposed to be service to the nation, service to the people, not the other way around like the way we are saying it. So we need to change that scenario, and this is what we are trying to do. CISLAC and many other civil society organizations, we are trying to make sure that we, you know, change this direction of governance in Nigeria, so that only people who have something to offer in terms of you know, governance, with their experience, credibility, you know, with, you know, patriotic, you know, commitment and action, you know, would only be elected either in the executive or in the legislature, so that this country can move forward. Nigeria has potential, and we cannot allow some few to be dragging us back. We made a lot of progress from 1999 to date, but we need to consolidate those progress. We need to make sure that we structure our progress in such a manner that it can even be copied by other countries in Africa. We cannot allow this cycle, a vicious cycle, this corruption and looters to continue to bastardize this country. Nigeria has no business to be in poverty. Nigeria has no business to be in the kind of violence that we are seeing, this artificial violence of Boko Haram, herdsmen, Niger Delta militant, whether it is the Biafra agitators. These are all artificial things. If you have good governance, if you have justice, if you have honesty in this country, you create enabling opportunity for Nigerians. Nigerians will want to excel. They don't think about religion or ethnicity. It is because our political leaders have abandoned this responsibility of bringing good governance to the table. That's why many people have resolved all this kind of sin. When young people have no job, they cannot even pay school fees. They cannot afford to go to school, despite the fact that they have scored good results, because they don't have good father, because they cannot pay bribe. You are virtually really creating enabling platform for young people to be used for election violence and other communal violence that we are witnessing. So it is important that our leaders at local government, at state level, at national level, to make sure that they wake up and do things that will help Nigerians to actually be proud that they are Nigerians, because the country has vast potential, in all aspects of life that you see. Many Nigerians, they go out, they excel. If you go abroad, whether it is in the Asia or Africa or in the Europe, including America, Nigerians are excelling. Why can't Nigerians excel in Nigeria?
Now, it is said that the competence or capacity of legislators, because you are talking about getting patriotic legislators in 2019, to get those legislators is dependent on the political parties that will put them forward to seek election.
That is why.
So what are you telling the political parties?
That is why we have been pleading with the political parties not to be commercializing and privatizing, the sale of leadership position within the political parties as candidates. Also, when you are charging 45 million naira, you are virtually alienating many decent Nigerians who will want to offer their service, because they have not stolen that much. They are not looters, or they don't have access to that money. So what you are doing now, you are only creating enabling space only people who have 419 money, or who have stolen money, or who have godfathers that have stolen money and will install you there. But many decent Nigerians who have done, like for example, if you work in government for 30 years, you work as a specialist, and you retire, you want to join to continue to give your service. Where have you stolen 45 million that you buy just ordinary form to contest election, or 22 million in the case of Senate, or almost 30 something for a governor, just to buy form, not to even election campaign, resources. So political parties need to reform, the way and manner in which they commercialize and privatize this, because what they are doing is that when they tax, their candidate, their members to pay that much, if that person is elected, the only thing that he will start doing when he or she get there is to start thinking on how to recover those money. Because some people actually, they even borrow money in anticipating when they go there, they will be able to recover this money. So we are appealing to political parties to please stop this, merchandise, nature of, selling, political offices. It is important that political parties begin to be repositioned to be responsible. Political parties' work is not only during the election. Look, in other developed democracies, even if you are not a ruling party, you are contributing to the government agenda, by bringing in, objective criticism, that government need to correct, certain things that you perceive that is not correct, But in Nigeria, political parties, they go to sleep. They only come back when it is election time, or when they are there, it is just criticism left and right without, really.
How can CISLAC bring about a change of this?
CISLAC alone cannot do that. CISLA can only contribute to continue to raise the consciousness of Nigerians, to make sure that Nigerians actually take their destiny, and political office holders, political parties become more responsive and responsible. That's the contribution we can only do. We cannot be able to do this alone. We can only do it with collective responsibility of every Nigerian.
CISLA provides training to the legislators.
Yes.
Now that we are approaching election, and we may likely have very high turnover in the legislature as maybe new people will come on board. And if you look at the training you've been providing vis-a-vis what is happening, would you say CISLA has achieved anything tangible?
I will tell you that if you are looking at the State Assembly, if you are looking at the National Assembly, we have contributed tremendously to making many of the legislators understand their roles and their responsibility. However, CISLA, cannot be the one to do their work. We can only provide them with information necessary for them to be able to do their work. We can only provide them with enabling, capacity that they needed to be able to do their work. And if we provide that, they did not do that, well, that's unfortunate. But I can say that many of the legislators, they have done that. I tell you, before now, when the budget is, when the year is running up, the ministries and parastatal, what they have, that unspent money, they used to share it among themselves. But we organized a training, capacity building training. We brought in experts, and then the Speaker Bonkole was even in attendance in that training in Akwa Ibom. From that training, the National Assembly now rise up to make sure that this unspent money is no longer a money to be shared by government agencies. So that means that we are actually making progress. Secondly, when they are also going to do their public hearing, we also provide them with some of the information, even in terms of report writing, even in terms of other linkage with other legislature, in Africa or in Europe and America. We have been able to make them to have more information, more understanding on their roles and responsibility. And I can tell you that a lot of things have been done. They have exposed a lot of corruption in government. What if they are not able to get this information, they might not be able to do that. So we provide those information to them, and it is now left for the National Assembly to process them and then be able to put them into use.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a question before. Talking about parties of supremacy, in your opinion, you said if they return, there might be no need for them to talk about changing leadership. But the party is insisting that this is their traditional right to have control of the National Assembly.
Or is CISLA supporting a situation where the minority continues to rule?
Well, we are not politicians, and we don't want to be seen to be, supporting any part, in this thing. But all we are appealing is we need to put Nigeria and, national interests at heart. So if come and cause trouble will frustrate the work that National Assembly will do, what is the value of the party and the executive insisting of this change? So this is why we think that since the executive has more issues that they want the National Assembly to clear, there's need to have better understanding with the National Assembly. Let us manage each other and end this tenure amicably, rather than frustrating all the efforts of both the executive and the legislature. At the end of the day, it is the Nigerian people that suffer that. We don't want that scenario. But
the tradition is that the party in majority always produces the leadership.
Well, the tradition is not a law. It's not a constitution. And it's all depend on how you do your things. Even when you have opposition people, if there's an interest of the nation, they will have to do what is right. It's not about occupying. What is the point of somebody from the same party A is in party A, ruling party, and then he's undermining the ruling party? Is it not what the scenario that you had when the Senate President Saraki was in APC, ruling party? Was it not in APC, that you also had all this problem for 3 years? So what value has that added? I don't think that is the issue. I think what is the issue is that let's face the work. Let us pace Nigeria. Let us be more honest and patriotic, and remember that we are using taxpayers' money. Let us not create violence. The young people are seeing how legislators, how executive, how politicians are turning into violence, a platform. We need to show good example for the young people, not to go and be showing greed and fighting spirit. No,
Mr.
I think we need
Auwal
to change that.
Musa Ibrahim Rafsajani, Executive Director, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center. Thank you so much for your insights and your comments. You seem to advocate for more dialogue between the legislature and the executive. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
Umar Isa Bununu, NTA Deputy Director News and Head of Political Desk. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cosmos Economy, Editor with Authority Newspaper. Thank you once again for coming on as a panelist. As the National Assembly reconvenes from recess on Tuesday, October 9th, 2018, platform discussed matters arising and likely issues that will dominate debates at the Apex Legislature. Our guest, Auwal Musa Ibrahim, otherwise known as Rafsajani, Executive Director, Civil Society and Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, predicted a robust debate and advocated for more dialogue between and within the government, that is, both the legislature and the executive. That's Platform. I am Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. Bye for now.